Oh, here we go.
But a bing, you blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
Whoops. Okay. Already see an error. This is week 13. I forgot to change the title slide. Oh my goodness. I was trying to get
canceled. Going home.
Yes. Let's see. I can't do it. I gotta change it.
We're doing it live.
We're doing it live. It's just something about me. I was like, that's not right.
Lord.
Welcome to live TV.
If you got the early intro, that's the collector's.
There you go.
Yes, indeed. And then, okay, StreamYard fixed this because, first in the chat was Andre Staley. And then we have April Watson from Tampa. We got Realign the DJ. I don't know what your avatar is this week. You're going to have to fill me in on that. We got LTK, Lady Uber Driver. Why you charging so much? That's funny. We got EA from San Francisco. We got Nick Felden from Denver. We got Arlene from Edmonton, Canada. Winter's fourth return. Oh my God, it's like in the 70s in New York City. We got Dorothy Edwards. So thank you so much for joining us last week.
Dorothy.
It's a waitress. And we got Sister Charles joining us from Houston. And that's so amazing. Thank you so much, LTK. This warms my heart. Best part of the week right here. Maybe I'm washed. We got Tanja all through the 70s, meaning temperatures. And then we got TP. Happy Saturday, Purple Fam. We got Audra 404 is in the house. That's what I'm talking about. Does everybody know their area codes? We got Tausfi. If I'm saying that, Tausfi. Sup, party people. We got S-File. We got Karan. Happy Saturday. We got Man Ray 10. We got S-Ball is from Houston, Texas. H-Town. We got Mooches from Philly. Always loving to see Vanity. We got Love Sexy 71. We got Ricky joining live from the ATL. We got Chris Bournet. And we got our timekeeper from Pollentown, a.k.a. Atlanta. We got Purple Cat Confetti, ready to learn. We got El Michelle, peeps from Florida this week. You're on vacation. And then we got Tanja riding high from Cleo Soul in New York City. You gotta school me on Cleo Soul. How long has Cleo Soul been out? Because I think she sold out the Radio City Music Hall. You fill me in. We got Kel Heads. Blessings to everybody. We got Dr. Claw back home from this Purple Saturday for this Purple Saturday. And we got 5 purple bars. That's what I'm talking about. Oh my God, Tanja went 2 nights.
Tanja not playing.
Tanja's not
right
there.
You went 2 nights.
Yes, and Ricky knows what's up. Madhouse 13.
Where you at, Rick?
So, Michael Dean, do you know who Cleo Soul is?
Hey, Rick, what you gonna get Doc, Rick?
Where's Rick at? Well, hey, that's cool.
Today is day off. How's that?
Gave him the night off.
Is he gonna come?
Oh.
That's my favorite Apollonia line in the film. Is he good? Because she was so convincing.
That's the perfect, like, just set it up and tee it up. Like,
and more friends with them, it meant exactly what she said.
All right. So actually, Ricky is in the ATL visiting the family. That's what I'm talking about.
And
we cutting, Rick. Come on, man.
You can watch, you can stream, brother.
Oh my God. Thank you. Yes, I need a Cleo Soul. And also, like, how long has Cleo Soul been out? I mean, I'm assuming a long time, and I just don't know. I didn't get the memo or something.
Is it a group or is it one artist?
It's just, it's, as far as I know, it's just one artist.
Oh, okay.
But they sold out the Radio City Music Hall 2 nights.
Oh.
So, yes, that's what I thought. So maybe I've listened to her, but I wonder if she's this person. I'm gonna have to go back.
Not Miss Cleo.
No, it is not.
Oh, okay, I'm
Right.
looking at it right here. Cleo Soul.
No, actually, I haven't heard of Salt either. I feel like I'm on a different musical planet. Have you heard of Salt? Michael Dean? Oh wow, sold out 3 nights. That's impressive.
There's a lot of new artists that I just realized, like, I'm just so out of touch with certain things because doing 3 nights, that's huge.
Yeah. So from the UK.
I'm looking at the pictures though, fabulous. I feel like I've seen a picture of this person before, and I don't know why I thought it was like an AI Selena picture or something, but now I realize.
Yes.
I've seen Cleo Soul, this picture I'm looking at, cover of her face. I've seen that picture before. I just had no context.
Okay. I think I might have listened to her when she first came out. I got to go back to my MP3s because I think if she has a very ethereal voice, I think I might know who you're talking about. All right. So one day I'll learn how to use StreamYard. Week 13.
One day you're gonna learn how to use it.
Oh, you know what? Y'all right. I know what. Yeah, she came out from 2018. Yeah, yeah.
You see, you had already checked out from.
Yeah, if your career started after 1995, I probably don't know who you are. I ain't even lying. Like first of all, when did D'Angelo drop his first album? What year was D'Angelo?
I don't know
late 90s, I think.
Like, I literally don't know anybody whose album dropped after D'Angelo. Like, that's probably the last. Like, I'll be honest with D'Angelo, maybe the last new artist I actually know.
You know, just to add on this, I did a deep listen to Black Messiah last night. I've heard the album many times, but just a real super dope listen.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's so funny. I can appreciate the musicianship, and I also appreciate the way it was mixed and recorded even more so today. Like, if you really just sit back and listen, that motherfucker, I'm sorry, he is so funky, but at the same time, he does all this it's an amazing album. Like, it's way better now than it was when it first came out to me. Like, you gotta just sit back and listen to it. And I love this other stuff too, but it's incredible, man. And you can just hear the Prince all through it.
Like, it's yeah. Like, every time I listen to Charade, I was like, this is such a Prince song. I mean, it's really incredible. And if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, can someone correct me in the chat? Did they record that live? Meaning, like, were all the musicians in the same room? I think they were all in the same room. Like,
Charade. Is that the one? Is that the one that's based off of a riff from Blondie, if I'm not mistaken? The Time song.
No.
Yeah. It's a little. If you listen to it deeply, there's a part that Jesse does on his solo, and that's what they're doing. They just sort of, you know, you have to really catch it. I swear that's what it is. They're doing a very slide.
LTK. I'm laughing because I don't know if you're on my newsletter or not, but if you saw something I posted 2 weeks ago on my newsletter, you might be right.
Yes, and I agree. Like, you can hear the maturity, you know, and what you can just tell he's a student of Prince.
Absolutely.
From that album alone.
And Tanja, I appreciate it. Yes, please copy me on that list to prop up. Yeah, I'd like to hear that.
Yes, and Michael Dean is correct because Michael Dean is always correct. Yes, D lifted that from Blondie. And so Dr. Claw, I agree with you. Charade puts me in a very peaceful place. Like, I feel like I'm safe. It's something about that song in particular. That song is like really, really incredible. I don't know. And also maybe because it's like part Charade, and there was a Charade bootleg. I don't know. I do get like sort of Christopher Tracy Parade vibes from the song, but it might be my mind playing tricks on me.
What's that slow song on there? Something Love. Wow, I can't think of it. The slow song that's on there. What's it called? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Something Love or That's Love or whatever.
I know the one you're talking about. I don't know the.
That's if you think of listen to it and you're just like, that's like some like a deep fan's appreciation of Parade to me. That era, I would say, like that just sound like I could see Christopher Tracy singing that song with the strings and just listen to the way the beat really love. Yeah, if you listen to it with that in mind, you'll be like, I see what they really doing here. Like he does it, it's so sly hitting. It's also some Sly Stone shit, but the way D'Angelo interprets Prince, it's not like he's trying to do it. It's just almost as if that's what he must have studied that. Like that's what part of his learning and his style comes from. So he just effortlessly does it, but he does from the most deepest of the grooves and the stuff that you don't hear on the surface of Prince, but you can see how like he's underneath it and listening to those little things, pulling that out. That's great.
So I'm curious about how you both respond to this.
So I saw that. And so, okay, Love Sex and 71. And I want to be all transparency because the gold standard is on AOI, right?
Mm-hmm.
The gold standard on AOI. Yeah, okay. I remember in real time, there were a lot of people bigging up Black Messiah and dissing AOI. I know some people on Prince.org was doing it, but I remember that. And notice I was real quiet when y'all was giving love to Black Messiah. And it actually goes back before Black Messiah. Because Voodoo was the follow-up to right?
To Brown Sugar.
Yeah. Okay. My issue with Voodoo and Black Messiah is not D'Angelo, it's not the music. Okay. My issue with both of those albums is that they just seem very monolithic to me. Like there's a one-way groove on them. And I tend not to like one-way grooves, right? I tend not to like an album that all of the songs are in the same genre. Like what I love about a Prince album is all of the songs are not going to be in the same genre. So if you have an album with all your songs in the same genre, I probably check out after the third or fourth song, or I'm going to find those 3 or 4 songs that I like. So I found it really interesting that there were a lot of people hating on AOI, right, and loving Black Messiah. So just to say that, I just found it interesting. I get it. I'm not going to ever tell somebody you shouldn't like this or shouldn't like that. But I'm just glad that Love Sexy 71 put that in the chat, because that was a real thing. And I just kept thinking like, well, yeah, AOI has a whole lot of different music. Black Messiah is one kind of music. Why would you even compare the two when, and I think this is the thing, Prince never made, I end on this, with Chaos and Disorder is the closest to Prince trying to do one thing the whole time. And even then he couldn't do it. Even then, he had to break up the rock with some funk at the end, right? When I rock, therefore I am. So that whole thing for me, that discussion for me was about, okay, so do you want an album that's just all one genre? Or do you want an album that's a whole bunch of different genres? And regardless of the case, I just thought that was an interesting debate. I'll shut up.
Also, we have to make sure we connect with our new listeners. What is AOI, C. Lee?
Artificial, God damn it. You would do it, put me
Artificial age, sir.
Yes.
He was doing this whole thing about the album. What's the album called? What's that one?
Oh my God.
It was art.
Yeah, and here's what's really funny. You can actually Google and go find this. In real time, the negative I had about Artificial Age was that all of the best songs that had come out in them 2 years wasn't on Artificial Age. Like, remember, he came out with whatever it was, and then there was a 3-year period, and then you had Artificial Age. So we got a lot of bootlegs that came out between that time and Artificial Age. And I was so mad that all the songs that I liked that were on the bootleg were not on Artificial Age. Y'all go ahead and talk among yourselves. I'm gonna go songs. But yeah, so that's the other crazy thing about Artificial Age was that I was like, why are the best songs from that era, not on Artificial Age.
That's a Prince thing, though. I mean,
Yeah. But I will say this: it's the one album. It's the only album where I agree with people when they say this bootleg should have been on. Like that's the only album for me. Like when people talk about Moonbeam Levels, I'm not hating. I want to be clear. I'm not hating on Moonbeam Levels. Moonbeam Levels, people don't come for me. I like Moonbeam Levels. Let me say it again. I like Vanilla Ice Cream. I like Moonbeam Levels. Damn it, don't come for me. But I'm not one of them people who think that what Moonbeam Levels should have replaced Free on the album, right? But I do know that there. So I would say the Artificial Age was the first album where I was like, yeah, the bootleg songs that didn't make the album were better than the songs that made the album. I'll shut up.
Yes, okay, Dr. Claw, I think you're speaking to Michael Dean, the era of the Prince podcast where these new songs would drop, rock and roll, love affair.
There we go.
And stuff like that. And Mike and them were like, okay, Prince, where's the album?
Thank you, Dr. Claw. Those songs.
Yes,
all
sir.
right.
Yes, sir.
And with Screwdriver, the Screwdriver didn't make it either. Did the Screwdriver make AOA?
That was on a different album.
No, Screwdriver's on
Anyway. He's on the Anyway album.
There you go.
All right. So I actually start this comment because I think it's a good one. Lady Cab Driver checked out a copy of the book from the library last week.
Nice.
So now they can follow along. So if you want to be like Lady Cab Driver, go to your local library and check out what we be reading.
Yeah, that's dope. You want to actually go check it out. Now go buy one. Go buy it.
Yeah, I think that's commitment. I love everybody who joins us every week. Okay, here we go.
Drivers on Hit and Run. So all those albums sort of blend together in my mind.
Yeah, they do for me as well. Yes. Oh, we got somebody joining us. I feel like there's a counter coming on. You're on stage with just audio. Maybe that's.
Turn the camera on, man. Let the people see you.
There you go. He out on the street.
Man, listen. I'm out here in beautiful New Orleans.
Oh, nice.
I've been missing you guys, and so I said, man, maybe I could see if I could hop on real quick and say hello from New Orleans before I start my gig. That's all.
We appreciate that, brother.
Oh man, thank you.
So I'm gonna be watching while I set up, man. But yeah, I've been missing you guys.
We miss you too. And actually, New Orleans is my favorite city. So this is giving me so much joy seeing New Orleans in the background.
Hey, listen, when you come to New Orleans, come see your boy.
What up, Ted?
All right, y'all.
Before you jump off, I wanted you to know that I put a link to the comment you made on your YouTube about the difference between theorizing and creating. I thought that was so important. So thank you, brother. So I put a link in there because I wanted people in the newsletter to read that straight from you.
Thank you so much. Y'all have a good one. I'll see you sooner than later.
All right.
All right, man. Take care of yourself.
Gig.
Ricky?
All right.
There you go. Brother Wyatt. You ain't got no excuse now, brother.
You don't let the new dude show you. He okay. What should I call you? Ricky Hilarious? Some of y'all get that.
Here's what it get him. All right. Ted squeezing, homie. Better kick ass tomorrow night, ass.
Here he got shamed to come on. That's my man.
There you go.
What's happening?
There you go.
What's happening? What's happening?
What's up, sir? We love you, man. Thank you for coming in.
I know it's all good joke.
Showing up for work. The boss is here.
Hey, I'm home at my parents' house in my old bedroom, and they kept it purple for me. Moved all my stuff out though, but
that's great. I'm
so
glad.
Did you actually have that painted purple when you were younger?
Yeah. Okay, man, about a couple of years ago, I sent Kanisa, darling Nisi wanted to see what Prince fans back in the day had their rooms like. So I sent her a picture, if y'all remember that, and I had my stuff on the wall over here and some stuff over there, stuff. So yeah, so the parents kept it purple for me. I mean, they repainted it, but yeah.
That's cool that they repainted it purple, because I don't know if my mama would have did that.
Speaking of which, D'Angelo, can I go by your mom's house and get some of your old artwork and show the fans?
See, it's in the what do you call it? The house in the back. What do we call that little thing?
Or with the little shed?
Yeah, the shed. It's like, yeah.
People up north don't know what a shed is. They don't know. Y'all ain't got no.
I'm thinking of shed. I'm thinking of some horror movie or something.
No, it's a southern thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, look, I want to come on and say hey because I can't stay long. You know what I'm saying? I gotta, nieces and nephews and stuff coming over soon. So
right on.
But
and also we got to see your purple room, which is
yeah. Still here, still got my. I leave this down here, so I have something to practice on.
Nice.
That's cool, man.
Right on, man.
So.
Tell the family we said what's up.
Oh yeah, man. I will do that. I'm still gonna try to get by D'Angelo's mom's spot, see if I can get some of these old artwork she used to do back in the day. Now, is it deep in the shed, D'Angelo, or is it like
deep in the shed?
Oh no, I'm not going there.
So deep in the shed that I can't even find my
Hey, brother Dean. The thing about them southern sheds is it's waltzes back up in them corners.
Yeah.
So you go in that shed if you want to.
There's what back there?
It's waltzes.
Waltzes. Not wasp, waltzes.
Oh, waltz. Okay.
Right. Yeah, not wasp. Waltzes, baby. Not wasps. Waltzes.
Oh my God.
Oh man. Well look, y'all have a great show. I'm gonna be listening. I just want to come home and say what's up to my people, man. It's
Appreciate
good
it,
to see
brother.
y'all.
We love you, sir. Thanks for jumping in, man.
Hey man, appreciate it.
Bye, Ricky. I love that you came on. Thank you so much.
All right. See y'all later.
Like,
Man, spending
That's
time
fair.
with family.
that's peer pressure.
There you go.
Oh, all in love. All in love.
I know. But I love this comment from LTK. Southern folks swear we don't have ish up north. And so they talked about we got sheds up north, but it's a different kind of shed. All right. All sorts of things happen in southern sheds. They're like little bootleg joints. People be living in them. All sorts of stuff. All right. So what did Prince do this week? I'm surprised the timekeeper hasn't gotten on us yet.
Right. I was waiting.
All right. Yeah. See, like Mila, I love this comment from Mila. My parents must have brought their southern roots to the north. I thought sheds were a standard thing. So, all right. Okay. Yes. Juke joints. That's the word I was looking for. All right. So what did Prince do this week? We're going week to week, not day to day, Sunday to Saturday of 1985. And this is the schedule with the bit.ly code. And you do not need the paperback, but has the extra information. But if you're like Michael Dean, you got the OG, the hardback cover, which is totally fine. And these will be archived at Polish Solid as well as at MDean. Please subscribe, like, and help spread the word for several reasons. 1, Prince. 2, Duane Tudahl, so we can get our third book. And because we want to make sure that everybody understands Prince's work ethic. Yeah. Oh, I didn't even see it. Kim said I did it 10 minutes ago, and I didn't even see it.
I was going to say, I saw a video. It was a Prince-related video, and I can't remember the gentleman who it was, but he had the book. It was the Purple Rain one. He was like, I'm reading this book.
That's fantastic.
It was good to see it out there.
Yeah, it's good to see the youth doing it. All right. And then we have our hashtag, which is WDPDTW. It is getting very, very late. If you want to come on and talk about your Purple Rain tour, you don't have very many more Saturdays to go. In fact, we just got 2 more Saturdays after this Saturday talking about the Purple Rain tour, and it is a wrap. So if you
low-key want to I can't wait to get past that so we can get back into the studio.
Yes, I understand. Trust me, I understand. And this is what we're going to be talking about next week in terms of the Purple Rain tour. We got Indianapolis, Tallahassee, and Lakeland, Florida. So if you went to any of those shows, email us at WDPDTW for what did Prince do this week and we would love to have you on. And this is an independent endeavor. The estate of Prince Rogers Nelson is not affiliated, associated, or connected with the What Did Prince Do This Week book club series. And remember our community guidelines. We choose to be a community even when we disagree. All right. So what we played at the top of the hour 5 years ago was 13. And that is 13 off of Madhouse 16. And we always have to love. Look at this amazing, beautiful cover with Manisa Leitner. And then we are.
That's what they could have. What if he did release it and it was called Manisa?
That would have been great. In fact, I mean, he could have named it Manisa 8 and Manisa 16. I think that would have been interesting. Just saying. All right. And so we are at our 116th episode of What Did Prince Do This Week? And we are week 13. 13 is what we're doing. Oh, wow. So were you part of the Kentucky? Yeah, Kansas. Yeah, the Kansas City. That's right. It got canceled in Kansas City. Yeah. So Bodhisattva now. Their Purple Rain shows got canceled. I would have been like devastated if that would have happened to me.
Then to wait till 1997. Wow.
Yeah, that is insane.
That's how it was back then.
Yeah, it really was. All right. So let's get into it. This week, there was one live appearance. Let's see if our people did their reading on the stage here. What was the one live appearance? Not the tour, but something very important happened this week.
The Grammys?
No, we already talking about the Grammys.
I ain't gonna even lie.
Wait. Well, already exposed. We didn't do the reading, but it was a live performance.
It was a live appearance.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a performance.
Okay, somebody did their reading.
Yeah.
Is
that where you had the
That's right.
No, that wasn't Christopher Trey. This is Purple Rain era. So.
Yeah, this is perfect. This is when he had on the cape with the hood with all of the purple hand beading. Yes. All right. That's right, Kim. Sparkly hood. I love that. It's one of my favorite outfits that Prince has ever worn. I think it's pretty special. And whoever hand beaded that, props to them. That must have taken hours upon hours upon hours. So in addition, oh my God, I'm just messing up all over the place, but that's okay. We don't see it. 6 live shows and 1 studio session. And this is what happened this week. On Sunday, there was the final Uniondale show. And then not only was it the 57th Academy Awards, there was some tracking and mixing of Jerk Out as well as a untitled song or song idea rather. And then on Tuesday, it was Hartford, Connecticut. And then early in the morning on Wednesday, it was the Marriott Inn. And then Worcester, Massachusetts on Wednesday and Thursday. And then on Saturday, it was Syracuse, which was immortalized for Prince and the Revolution Live.
Hello, Syracuse and the world. My name is Prince, and I've come to play with you.
Yeah, so iconic. So iconic. And I am also mad, El Michelle, that Manisa sold that iconic yellow dress. Yes. All right. Okay. So.
Yeah, that needs to be in a museum.
Yeah, it really should be. It should be at Paisley Park.
Boy, wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, that would be great. All right. Here we go. I think I'm going to read this one because I think this one is the super short one. I mean, like insanely short. And this is for Sunday, March 24th, 1985, Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum, Uniondale, New York. Capacity 16,700, sold out. Once again, Prince began the show with 17 days for at least the 3rd time he'd done that during the tour. Now, I know if I would have seen one of these 17 days, I would have went crazy because that was an amazing B-side for, again, our new people. And we're going to move on with the quickness. This is the ticket from March 24th. Again, very similar to all the tickets we've seen last week, but I love this with the pink square. And then we're going to move on to Monday, March 25th. And who's going to read about Jerk Out and the song idea?
I'll read it, and you can just tell me to skip around.
Okay.
Because we know we don't know you read the whole thing. So Jerk Out. Transfer. Song idea mix. Sunset Sound Studio. One likely afternoon session. Producer Prince, artist Prince, engineer unknown. Brown Mark. Quote, I knew he was trying to keep he knew I was trying to keep my Maserati a secret from him because I just didn't know how he would respond to it. But he actually said, let me help you with it. So that's where it came about. All right, so that's the Brown Mark quote. Let's get into discussing Jerk Out, one of my favorite early written Prince songs.
Mine 5.
There you go. With the void generated from the time breaking up in 1984, Prince had created the family, but he also expressed interest in a band that Brown Mark had previously been secretly working with, Mazarati. I always wanted to do rock music, discloses Mark, and Prince didn't really do rock, and I really wanted to do a rock band, and I figured since I can't do it, I'll live it through someone else. I pulled a couple of my high school buddies together and rehearsed them at my house for about a year and a half, kept them in secret, didn't tell anybody, and then we did a show at the Caboose in Minneapolis. We sold out their first gig just by word of mouth. It was pretty amazing. That's when I knew I had something, end quote. I wonder if that's from Mark's, because that sounds a lot like it comes from Brown Mark's book. Minneapolis isn't like Los Angeles and New York, where you can be anonymous if needed. Many of the local band members in the Twin Cities had shifted between groups over time, and there was an incestuous knowledge about the music scene, and Prince was someone with his ear to the ground, looking for new local talent to potentially hire and shape their careers with his ideas and music. Here's another quote. After the time self-destructed, he needed someone to take the place of the time. So I think Maserati was it, according to Maserati guitar player Tony Christian. We played, this Tony Christian still talking, we played at the Minneapolis Black Music Awards with the time in 1984, and I guess we blew the time away, end quote. The band was quickly signed to his new Paisley Park label, and like almost every example involving Prince's side project, this was based in two things: Prince's overwhelming passion for having an outside venue for his music and Prince's need to control, which is why I was interested. It was interesting to me that Brown Mark would allow them to be signed when Brown Mark was already, if you read Brown Mark's book, he was already having these kind of issues with Prince. So it's interesting that he allowed them to be signed to Paisley Park. But I digress. He had been going through his archives looking for music that would best fit Maserati, and had already discovered songs like 100 Miles Per Hour with the band. And so while he was in town, he had Jerk Out pulled for them. Jerk Out was an older track, originally recorded on 16 track and intended for the time, but he apparently felt that it would work for Maserati as well. Prince and the Revolution had been jamming on the song the previous month in the Daly City. Doing the sound checks before the Cow Palace shows. Brown Mark disagreed about the song being a good fit for Maserati. Quote, we didn't like it. It was one of those he just handed down, end quote.
The next two paragraphs and go to While in the Studio.
Okay. While in the studio, Prince also recorded a new song idea, but there was no details about it available. Status: Jerk Out, 7 minutes and 8 seconds, would be reworked by Maserati, but not released by them. It was eventually repurposed for the time and released in 1990 on their Pandemonium album. The track would reach number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100, number 6 on the Billboard Hot Dance Disco, and number 1 on the Billboard's R&B singles chart. And I would love to hear these original things, because I have one and only one thing I need to know is, when did the original lyrics for Jerk Out go away? For those of you who've never read the original lyrics, I would suggest you go and do a deep dive and find those original lyrics, because I think those original lyrics are important. One, because Maserati, they were so radical, Maserati wouldn't sing them. And I want to be clear, they weren't so sexual that Maserati wouldn't sing them. They were so racially radical that Maserati wouldn't sing them. And if you know the story, they were based on an incident around an airplane situation. And then I think that was supposedly is what inspired the Maserati song lyrics. And it's just interesting. And I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, y'all can correct me, that Maserati kind of, I think it was like 1981 when Prince and that incident happened. And just to see those kind of lyrics, to see Prince writing about a racial incident, and to be writing, for lack of a better term, angry about a racial incident, I just think that it didn't come out, wasn't gonna come out. I just think that that's very interesting to see Prince writing about a racial incident from a very angry place in 1981. And I've always thought about what would have happened if those original lyrics would have come out then, as opposed to coming out later. That's it. I'll shut up.
All right. So there is a comment that I want to highlight from Dr. Claw, who's saying "Jerk Out" is their favorite time song. I love number 1B because 777 is number 1A. I understand that very, very much. And I hope Prince's vocals shows up on originals. I really wish that the original series will continue. I've said that a gazillion times. So it's just great to have somebody else, you know. Now I'm very much believe in sending signals to the universe. Like, we need more originals. So that's our double signal. But also, if you want to hear the Maserati version, it's in the accompany playlist. It's on my YouTube channel. Just go all the way down to the bottom for all the accompany playlists. And there's a sound check with Prince and the Revolution doing "Jerk Out" going into "Chocolate," if I remember correctly. Also in the accompany playlist. It is one of my favorite songs by the Time, because Pandemonium is my favorite Time record. Even though "What Time Is It" is incredible and has like my favorite Time songs on it, being 777 and "I Don't Want to Leave You" in particular. But as an album, I love Pandemonium. So I say all that to say, I'm very happy that Maserati didn't like the song because the Time wouldn't have been able to do it. And it's nothing like the Time like performing "Jerk Out" for me. That's me.
Can I didn't pick up on this the first time I read it, and I would love to see this set list. But it's interesting that Brown Mark said that Maserati also played at the Minnesota Black Music Awards in '84 and with the Time. And he says, I guess we blew the Time away. Like, not that I doubt him, but I'm just like, that's a wild statement. From what we would know of the Time at that point, they're the ones knocking Prince down some nights, not being allowed to play. And this is in '84. And that's what I'm saying. What songs was Maserati playing that would have blew away the Time that had certified hits? And these brothers is playing what, unknown songs, and they blew them out. That's a wild statement. Like, I've never really seen the Maserati show like that, but man, that's wild.
And I guess my question is, which Time configuration is that?
Yeah.
Because I'm wondering if that's the one where Jesse is fronting. You know, like, I'm not even sure if that was, because I'm trying to remember. I've actually gone to 2 Minneapolis Black Music Awards, and they're like in spring. And so I'm trying to figure out, you know, as they're shooting the movie, because I'm thinking Morris is gone by then, because from what I remember, the Minneapolis Black Music Awards were in the spring, because that's when I would always be in Minneapolis in 90. I want to say 90, was that 90, 94, 95, 95, 96. And I got to go there. And just as an aside, I'm forgetting the other guy's name, but Bow-Legged Lou and I think Paul Anthony hosted one year that I was there, which has nothing to do with anything. I said,
oh, no, I love it. Paul Anthony. Anyway. No, but it's an interesting statement for him to say that. Like, I'd just be very curious.
Yeah, which
Must have been a
timeline?
badass group, because I don't care what time it was. Even if it was Jesse on the, and there's footage that came out, right, with Jesse
Yep.
was leading, and didn't Prince come out? I mean, even them cats was killed.
And was that 84?
It would have to be.
Yeah.
Or before that, it would, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm wondering if that's
Maybe
the same. If that's the same show.
Yeah, that's why I'd love to see the Maserati thing. If they killed them, okay.
I can some of somebody in the chat do some Googling and try to figure out like what year was this Maserati? Because I'm Googling, but I'm only seeing 86, and it's got to be sooner than that. It got to be it's got to be 84 or possibly 85.
And I will have to say, I mean, I understand Maserati, Brown Mark's intentions and his idea, but I would say Prince was trying to lace him though with some joints. Like if you were, you know, and that song, Kiss, 100 Miles, that would have been a banger album if they would have recorded. But so he was giving them some joints. I don't know if they felt like they were hand-me-downs.
And I like Dow's fee. You know, as a tribute to Taoism, I like what Tao's be put in there. And I hope I'm pronouncing it right, because I'm taking it as a take on Taoism. The misremembering and the current Prince tab. And I'm like you. I'm not saying that it's purposely misremembering, but it's just interesting, like you say, to have these things and not. Anyway, it would just be interesting to have Prince's counterpoint to a lot of things that have come out since he's been gone. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, and let me just add to that. I'm not trying to like nitpick what they're saying, because I can understand when you're talking in the moment, you're not thinking about, oh, there's going to be some cats studying this every week, every little word I said, and by missing, you know, That's not that. It's just now that we actually are talking about it, looking at it so deep, you ask the question, but you know,
I want to be clear. I'm not saying anybody's lying. I want to be like, you know, we're not, like you said, look, if you asked me something that happened in my life 30 years ago, I'm be like,
exactly. Because I know I'll be all over. I didn't care for that. And they got the picture of me with.
There you go.
Well, that's different.
Oh my God. Yes, indeed. All right. So we are going to keep it moving for the Academy Awards. So Michael Dean, do you mind reading that one? It's the next bit for March 25th.
All right. The 57th Academy Awards venue, Dorothy Chandler Pavilion, Los Angeles, California. Read the quote from Prince. This is very unbelievable. I could never imagine this is my wildest dream. I could never imagine this in my wildest dreams. I would like to thank the Academy, Mr. Albert Magnolia, my managers, Stephen, Bob, and Joe, Bobby, Mark, and Matt, who couldn't be here with us today, and most of all, God. Love. At the Academy Awards presentation in Los Angeles, Prince won his first and only Oscar for Best Original Song Score for Purple Rain. In contrast to his passionate performance at the Grammys the previous month, he didn't perform and quietly addressed the crowd after he received the statue. Even The Hollywood Reporter noted that the flamboyant singer made an unusually subdued appearance to accept his prize. There were many people involved, but Prince was the artist who had created Purple Rain, and once he won this award, there was no denying his genius. Damn. He owned the night. But more importantly, he earned the respect of his peers and of the general public. So the balance of power with everyone, his record label, his employees, and his management undeniably shifted toward Prince. I just have to ask, so a movie award has that much weight on music?
Yep, back then, yeah.
Wow. We knew that we could argue, and we did. And then he would win, and that would be that. Recognizes his manager, Bob Cavallo. I tell you, as soon as Purple Rain was a giant hit, and then he wins a goddamn Oscar, I was no longer a manager. I was an expediter. Man, I was just a guy doing his bidding. He was frustrated they were trying to manage him, and he wasn't having it, reveals Susanna. They were trying to manage him, and you don't manage him. At that point, he was like, nobody should be telling me what I should be doing. They should be facilitating my needs and my wants. Go ahead, Prince. I love it.
You know what's interesting about that. I'm glad you asked that question, Brother Dean. For you guys who haven't seen it, probably my favorite Susan Rogers presentation, not an interview. My favorite Susan Rogers is a presentation she did. It's titled "This Is What It Sounds Like: Prince and Our Perception of Music." And to go to what you just said about the Oscars being that important, I'm going to just read a quote from that, because I remember clipping that quote, and this will probably put it in perspective. She says, quote, "Prince is one of the few artists to achieve the triple crown of love, fame, and respect, which includes love from the public, fame from the critics, and respect from his peers and other artists," right? And then she states, "Dirty Mind is lauded by the critics, Controversy is lauded by his peers, 1999 is lauded by the public, and Purple Rain is lauded by all three." And so Purple Rain became that one rare audience where both peers, fans, and critics all loved it. So that's what makes that Oscar award so much of a big thing, was that it was seen as stepping into that Oscar award at that time was really seen as a real artistic award. And then to take it down the line, which was why it was so monumental when 3 6 Mafia won later. Because when 3 6 Mafia wins their award, that a group like 3 6 Mafia, like Prince was the first person of himself to ever win that award. And then 3 6 Mafia becomes another group like that to win that award, to get what is essentially seen as a prestigious artistic award. That's it. I'll shut up.
So actually, I'm glad you said that, because I forgot to include something at the end for our salon part.
Like a pimp, or what? It's hard out here for a pimp. Is that what this?
Yeah, it's hard out here. Yeah, that's it. Because Taraji actually sang the hook at the award show.
I forgot about that part, that she sung the hook. Speaking of Taraji, so last night I watched this documentary that's produced by Jamie Foxx and Kevin Hart called Number One on the Call Sheet. And it's in 2 parts. And it's about Black Hollywood leading men and female.
Yeah, I'm mad I can't see that because it's on a platform I ain't got.
It's on Apple, and it's really good. And it's so good. And Reginald Hudlin actually directed the male one. And he gives props. He basically said in the 80s, as far as Black leading men, there were only 2. One was Eddie Murphy, and Prince was the other. Yep. And I was just so thrilled to see Prince get recognition. What's that?
I was saying Richard Pryor, but go ahead.
But in terms of number one at the box office, in terms of like,
and also, wait, but just make that point. Also, because I made this point at the Purple Rain, Richard Pryor's number one leading man run basically ends going into 82. Like you get the toy, but when you think Richard Pryor's big movies, you're really thinking 77, 79.
Yeah, for sure. So it would for one thing, I almost burst into tears just because like when we're talking about Black filmmaking, almost no one ever talks about Prince. So like for them, for like the film people to recognize Prince in that way, I thought was really incredible. And 2, it was really interesting. They had 2 different directors for each episode. Again, like Reginald Hudlin did the male one, and I can't remember the director for the female one, but she's female, which I thought was really great that they had a female director for the female one. And Taraji was one of the people that was interviewed. The only thing that was missing for me is that they did not interview Pam Grier. And in fact, they didn't even mention Pam Grier in the female one, but they mentioned her in the male one. And I just think, she's still alive. We should be giving her flowers, because if you're talking about Black female leads, Pam Grier comes to my mind almost immediately. So, but it's really good, C-Lee. It's really, really well done. I highly, highly recommend it. It's called Number One on the Call Sheet.
You just make me hate you even more because I don't have Apple.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people do.
Highly recommend it. So what I do, C. Lee, is when something like this comes on, I sign up for the service and then I immediately cancel it so that it doesn't get renewed for the second month. That's kind of how I do things.
That's sweet. I mean, try that.
Yeah, I do it because like if you wait, you'll forget. So it's, I mean, literally, I sign up for it and then I literally cancel it in the same setting so that I don't have to remember to cancel it. So yes. All right, let's continue. So we got some photos for you and you can see the beautiful purple Yoda outfit. It's such a stunning outfit. I really love this. I think it's one of his best, including like the green suit that we talked about for the American Music Awards. These two always come to mind, but this one is probably my number one because it's purple. And then we got Wendy and Lisa. And I don't know whose hand she's holding. Like, I don't know if does anyone know? Is that one of the brothers?
I don't know.
Or is it one of the managers? And I just love this photo. I don't know what's going on with the security guard. And it's like, I don't know. And here's another.
Who's that guy? Is he an actor or something?
Yeah, I can't think of his name, but he is an actor.
Is he?
Yeah, he's an actor.
And
he's like, whoa. I wonder what's going through Prince's mind. He just seems like he's like, just escort me to where I'm going. I want to keep looking down, but I mean, he's not that type of guy though, but it's an interesting sort of persona that he gives off.
He does look like Albert Brooks, Chris.
Oh, maybe that is him. Okay. Albert Brooks.
That sounds about right. Awesome. But going back to what you just said, Michael, I don't know what Prince was thinking, but if I had to take an educated guess, he would probably be like, I'd rather be in the studio right now. That's probably what.
You know what? You contrast it with like when you look at these early sort of things of Prince, he's always, seems shy and stuff. But then when you'll go many years later and he's like in the picture, he knows what, he's like the confidence or whatever. He's decided that I want to present myself this way. Almost to me, like when I think of early Snoop, he would never talk. Like he just seemed very nervous, but now he's like the poster child for personality, so it's just interesting how these celebrities can evolve from when they first start, how they carry themselves in public.
Again, we don't know what Prince was thinking, but again, I kind of agree with Lady Cab Driver. Like being around all those strangers, just all those people might have drove him a bit batty. I can understand that. And
again, not to beat a dead horse, but if you're gonna have a documentary, like these are kind of questions you could be asking. Like you could take off from when Prince is talking to Chris Rock on that VH1 to 1 interview. And Prince talked about there was partly me being myself and partly a little acting going on. And you can talk to the people around and say, hey, to the best of your knowledge, when was this, hold up some photos, hold up some things, which is Prince being himself, which is a little acting going on. And to me, that's not a bad thing. That's him being conscious about, I'm trying to present myself a certain way to get a certain music out. But I think those are the kinds of questions and discussions that I think if you really want a well-rounded understanding, particularly as Prince as an intellectual, you ask those kind of questions instead of all the other kind of stuff that it seems like folks are interested in getting at. That's it. I'll shut up.
And just to throw it in there, because if you take a couple years later, Sheridan, Wyoming, he was a very different personality, which blew me away because I was like, what, this nigga's talking? Like, joking? I feel with my hands, Martha, and doing all that. I was like, yo, who is this guy?
And this is completely out of place. Every time I'm watching that, my wife Monica walks up to me, and when Prince goes, Sheridan, my wife goes, Sheridan, Wyoming. And she's never gotten over the fact that they got to host that.
Right.
Monica's mad that they got to host it. She don't feel like they should have got to host it. My wife, in all these years, is still salty. That shit, like whenever I'm watching, because what I watch is the only thing I watch is the performance. Like I don't watch all the other stuff. So I got the performance there. She'll walk in the room and she'll just go, shit at Wyoming. There it is, and walk out. So she mad that, and she to this day don't believe that girl got through. I don't believe she got through. She said if she believes MTV set it up.
I'm actually with Monica. That doesn't sound. No.
And to me, it's like only randomness could make that happen because it's like, why would you a big company spend all
And
the
I ain't
money
gonna
to
lie,
promote a movie in that place.
I actually called. Like I called, and it was a girl down the street named Barbara Evans. I was gonna use her to set up. The Prince was gonna take her out, but I actually called because I wanted it in Clarksdale. And of course, all I got was you young people ain't gonna know this sound, but all I got was bop, 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 bop.
Hilarious. You know. Now that you're saying that, and it's my super cynical mind, I could see it being rigged. I could see it being like, we need to sell him to Middle America. This a pop thing. We got to get it out of what it was before. Put him with the most country American type of environment, and we're gonna kill it. I could probably see that, and I could see him being like, yeah, let's get this money. I'm gonna be a different person. Yo, set it up. I'm gonna show you some. I'll be a different type of cat. I could see.
And to your point, remember that same week, remember the People magazine had him with the yellow suit.
Oh,
right, that's right.
It was all a rollout.
Would you let your daughter date this man? Remember?
yeah.
Same week. So I'm with y'all.
I ain't mad at you, Prince. I ain't mad at you.
We get to the bottom of the shenanigans.
I never liked that People cover. Even in real time, I was like, what is going on? I just, now that I'm
say he was doing.
Yeah.
My man went from
it's like,
Prince is hilarious.
and I just that made this connection. I think one of the reasons why I don't like the parade birthday show performance. Well, I'll tell you, the number one reason is because Prince isn't really playing any instruments. I don't like watching a live Prince performance and Prince isn't playing any instruments.
Yeah.
But now I realize the number two reason. He had on that yellow suit and it reminded me of that People magazine, and I hated that People magazine cover. I so hated it.
He gave his money.
I love the yellow suit.
It's more interesting to think about if that was super successful, would he have really changed would he have kept that kind of persona?
Yes.
And Sign of Times would have been something different.
Right.
Yes. Yes. And so, yes, he played the organ, but I'm talking about throughout the entire show. I mean, like a normal Prince show.
I know what you're saying, but he does play. I've seen pictures of him with the guitar.
Yeah, but
I guess he does Purple Rain, I suppose. He must have to play that one.
But what I'm saying throughout, that's what the point I'm trying to make is usually anytime you see Prince in a Prince show, unless he's dancing his butt off, he usually is on an instrument.
So let's put this out, though. I get your point, but let's put this out in the atmosphere, too. If we do get a Parade Under the Cherry Moon box set, I'm going to need the whole birthday show with Soft and Wet. I need the whole don't give me the cut-up one that they put on Japanese TV.
Right.
I need the whole birthday show because I done spent 30 years trying to piece that damn thing together, getting a little bit from this bootleg and a little bit from that bootlegger. Right. And so my cuts and edits ain't that damn good. So I'm going to need the whole birthday show so I can stop looking at my crap-ass cuts and edits. That's it. I'll be honest with you.
Yes.
Go sign that.
Yes.
Matter of fact, I want to see some of them other performances that we don't know about.
Yes,
I'm with you, Michael.
But I also want the Stockholm show on that Parade. I also want the Stockholm show on that Parade box set too, because that's for me. That, and if you can throw in the Boston show, because remember I told you about that Boston show. If you throw in I want everything. All right, let me shut up. Damn, I just thought about it. I'm gonna be like, hey, and throw in the Biloxi, Mississippi show too. While since you got that, throw in Biloxi.
If they can sell you bed sheets, nigga, they can throw an extra show on you.
And I know some of you might be saying you're so off topic, but no, we not, because if you read this, it says Prince and the Parade and Sign of the Times studio sessions, 1985 and 1986. So we still on it.
Can't wait.
All right, I can't wait either. Okay, so here we go. Nick Felden wants Yokohama.
Oh yeah, that's the last Revolution show, right?
Mm-hmm. I remember reading about that, and they said he smashed a guitar or something.
Oh, that's online.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, you can find him smashing the guitar online.
Yo, I gotta see that.
I love the reiteration. Sometimes Duane reads this, so hopefully, Duane, if you watch this, you'll get a kick out of this. It's pretty funny.
Don't do it.
So I'm not. I mean, my point is just very, very simple.
Don't do
Let it
Don't
go,
take the
man, Ray.
bait.
Jen. Let it go. Let it go, man,
You
Ray.
can explain
Let it
yourself. We ain't
go.
gotta take that bait.
Okay, we're gonna keep it going, but it's really simple. I just don't understand. Okay, remember I listened to Prince through what? The music, the instruments. He could be singing Mary Had a Little Lamb as far as I'm concerned. I get to the lyrics like 10 or 20 or 30 years later. I need the music. And so when I go to a Prince concert, I want to see Prince playing instruments throughout the entire show. And like for me, the parade tour is Prince in band leader mode, which is great for some people. But and yes, he touches stuff, you know, he touches the organ, he touches the guitar, but not throughout the entire show. So that's the only point I'm trying to make. But I'm gonna stop.
But I will say this though, and even it's not as much. The cool thing about the Sign of the Times concert was that he picked up the guitar again. Like that was a big thing. Yeah, people was like Prince has picked the guitar up because it was missing during the parade tour. Now I liked it, but he Prince picked up the guitar.
Thank you, Celie, for understanding my point. Thank you. All right, here we go. Academy Awards, and we got. I love the cufflinks. Cufflinks like that cost money.
See these cufflinks?
Yes.
You're not wearing loafers, are you?
Ooh.
Only confused men wear loafers.
Yeah.
You're not confused, are you?
You aren't confused.
You know what? Maybe that's not that actor, because why would he be standing?
Yeah, I don't think that's that, but he does look like him for sure. I love this is one of my favorite pictures of the ones that I'm showing, just so you can kind of see more context of what's going around, and then also you see Lisa in the front, and also Prince is smiling, you know, because with a lot of these images, his head is down and all that, and. Yeah, I'm gonna put. Ricky just put a exclamation point on this. The parade tour felt James Brown review-ish.
Billy said that. Remember when because Billy talked to Electrifying Mojo too, because we always talk about the Prince and Electrifying Mojo. There's also Billy promoting the birthday show on Electrifying Mojo, and he says specifically they're doing a James Brown and the Famous Flames things. Like Billy specifically says James Brown, and so that's why I always took my kid like, cool, nod to James Brown, Famous Flame, and that's why I guess because hearing that and knowing that it was just Prince doing another slice of his pie. So I was with you. I wanted more guitar, but it was also him doing that, and then we get the Sign of Times, we get the guitar back. I shut up.
Like for me, it's not even like more guitar. Like I just wanted, like he could have been playing drums, he could have been playing like keyboards. I just wanted Prince playing some instrument the entire time. And I love Chris Bournet's comment. Imagine if Sheila didn't hit the timbales just a couple times, or you know, like what kind of Sheila show would that be? Or if she didn't play the drums or something like that, and she sung the entire time. I don't know. I would have been like super disappointed. So that's just me. And I love this. The hoop earring is all about that for sure. And I'm going to say one more thing, and then I'm going to stop on my parade. Raining on the parade. So like the James Brown thing is really real. And now that I'm older, I understand that Prince was giving reverence to James Brown, but in real time, for me, it's kind of like, I can't believe I'm about to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. One of my cousins, he was really little. He was like 5 or 6 or 7. I can't remember where. He was in his single digits. He was taking guitar lessons. And my aunt told him that he needs to listen to Jimi Hendrix. And his response was, Jimi Hendrix is dead. That was his response. And so for me, when Prince was like in real time, I'm not talking about now because I love all Prince James Brown references now, but in real time, I was like, 1, James Brown is still alive. 2, you are an innovator. Why are you doing all this James Brown stuff? So then that's another reason why, like for the parade, now that that's another thing. So I'll stop it. Okay. Because I'm going to get hate mail. All right. So I wonder who this is. I wonder, I don't think this is Dr. Fink's mom, but it's got to be somebody because of all the paisley, maybe. It's like a really great outfit. Does anyone know who this
I
person
was
is?
gonna say it's got to be somebody, Mama.
Yeah. or if we go quantum realm, it was Lisa Barber from the future, and then went back to make sure she could win.
That ain't that lady from the August 1983 show, is it?
Oh my God. Okay. So anyway, love this. I love this picture, and it's got to be somebody important in Prince's camp. All right. And then I don't know why I love this photo. Also, you get to see Prince head to toe. And then I don't know what the security guard is trying to do, get in front of him, or somebody's about to do something. I don't know, but it's a really interesting photo.
You got some lint on your shawl here. Let me get that lint for you. Let me get that lint off your shawl. You get that lint right there. Let me get that lint right there.
He's giving mall cop energy, though. I mean, just
but look, but to y'all point, look at the different energy in that walk. Like that's the pimp walk we used to. Right. Like that's so you're right. Like he's switching that energy up. Right.
Well, I think
and
that
like
next
knowing
picture,
exactly when to hit the energy.
Yeah, that next picture she did see, like that's the Prince I had. Like, okay, I see you. He like,
you know what he look like he's saying? Y'all ain't got no tickets?
I made it.
Should have got some tickets.
I mean, just that print, just everything he's got on. I mean, just look how far he has come just in this short time from like, the first album, Dirty Mind, into this. Like, man, he's a superstar. Like, it's incredible.
Hey, look at. All right, so
I love this comment. Sorry, gotta put that up.
Yeah, and to Modernaire's comment, for some reason, I always thought Clara Bow was an old white woman. So when he said that's Clara Bow, like even in the
Clara
start, I'm like,
Clara Bow.
Right.
Oh my God. Okay. But the outfit looks like it was designed by one, like Louis and Vaughn or somebody. So I just feel like there's a connection. And this is our final set of photos from the Academy Awards. Oh, no, it's not, because we wanted to look at Jeffrey Osborne.
Okay.
Can you woo, woo, woo? Woo, 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 woo.
That's my man. Oh, my.
There you go. Sang it, brother. Give him that. That's right, cousin. Give him that Jeffrey Osborne.
I love that 80s afro, the kind of short. To me, that's such a grown. As I grew up as a kid, that's what a grown man looked like to me. Like, kinda, you know what I'm saying?
Like, the grown man baby fro.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's like my dad and him.
He was clean. He looked good. And
what's the other LTD song? Every time I turn around, back in what is it?
Every time I turn
around,
back
and try
again. Back in love.
Again. There you go.
Back in love again. All right.
Do your Googles on Jeffrey Osborne LTD.
Jam.
Oh my God. I'm so happy to see all this Jeffrey love in the chat.
I was going to say he lost his wife. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he's one of our legends. Absolutely.
I'm not that familiar with Jeffrey Osborne's catalog. Did he do I Want to Be Your Friend from The Toy?
That's a good question. I should know that since The Toy is one of my favorite movies.
Love Ballad. It's a classic.
Okay.
You know it, Yuri. Ask your mama.
I'm really bad.
You got here was love, Ballad.
I'm really bad, Michael Dean, with song titles. I was that person, song, the third song on the second side.
Right.
That's me. All right. Let's see. And we looked at that. This is a photo that was in Ebony magazine, so it's not the best resolution, but I like it.
That's some Ebony shade right there.
Yes, and we got Wendy with a feather boa.
Wait,
was that the same one that Prince had, or you just let her wear it?
Probably. I would think it's the same one.
So they were presenting with Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That this was one they were. I don't know which award they were presenting.
Okay.
Yeah, they were
Oh,
presenting
I
with.
Which
forgot
is
they
a
did that.
great look for him. Like he's on the Oscars presenting award. Like that shows you, like, yeah, he was the man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know Love Ballad was George Benson too.
Okay.
All right, and I just gotta give all the Jeffrey Osborne LTD love. So hopefully some people will do some Googling.
Yeah.
So
Now that I think about it, somebody said he's still on tour. I think he's
oh,
coming
so
here.
someone saying, so latest cab driver saying no, that was the Grammy. So maybe I got my
Oh, here we go.
Oscars Grammys.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Thank you for that correction. I got it wrong. Let's
Okay.
see. And let's see. That's funny. So Prince's outfit was actually more toned down than the one Cher wore to the Oscars in '86 with a huge headdress. I remember that one, but not. And then
Like a see-through type of thing or something.
I ain't gonna argue with you, Tanja. I ain't gonna argue against you. I ain't mad at that argument.
yes, since we're making so many mistakes and we're correcting them, we're gonna correct this one on the spot. So we're gonna do it real quick. Grammys. Can we have a date? Because I can't remember the date.
All right.
All right. Okay. Why is it taking so long? Okay. So here we go. And I think this is our final photo. I keep saying that, but I really think it's this time. And
I really like that color in Wendy's, like
yeah,
the actual suit. It's really nice.
Yeah, it really is. Prince has a similar one. Oh, here we go. Jason, letting us know that the Mizell brothers wrote and produced Love Ballad.
Okay. All right. Go ahead on then, brother.
Yeah. I love the Mizell brothers, so I got to listen to that. Okay, here we go. So Hartford Courant, if I did that right.
I'm bringing up paperwork on somebody.
Yeah, paperwork. So this was to various John Does and Jane.
Like I'm on no jumpers. Right.
So to various John Does and Jane Does, notice to all parties who propose or intend to do manufacture, distribute, sell, offer for sale, hold for sale, or advertise any products, including but not limited to T-shirts bearing the name or trademark of Prince or Sheila E., or the likeness of any group performer or its members without authorization by said musical performer or group. So this was posted in the Hartford, Connecticut.
That account for that spaghetti company?
Wow.
Yeah.
So basically couldn't sell no bootleg shirts or something? Or?
Yep. And
he was doing a cease and desist back then.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So I thought that was interesting, an interesting find. Wow. And it was a United States district judge.
Oh, Whitney Houston t-shirt.
Yeah. All right. And I'm going to read this really quick because it's short. March 26, Hartford, Connecticut, Hartford Civic Center, 16,000 sold out. Noon Rendezvous was played. The show closed with America and When the Saints Go Marching In. So that was Tuesday, March 26th. All right. And we're going to go on to the next one. Okay, so this is also from the Hartford Courant. Unfortunately, the photo isn't as good as I would like, but it's because it's from a newspaper. But you can see that there's a Prince fan, actually Joanna Lyons, 15 of Simsbury, hugs a photograph of her idol. Tuesday night was the second time the teenager had seen Prince in concert. So I want to read this one. Fans flip over Prince of Wales.
That's cute.
That is cute, right? Stephanie Della Cagna, Courant staff writer. And it starts off with, picture yourself in a courtyard, an ocean of violets in bloom. Prince and wind doves cry. It was a purple rain. Hartford was engulfed in a sea of lavender Tuesday as an estimated 16,000 people, nearly all of them dressed in a shade of purple, attended a concert by Prince at the Hartford Civic Center. By late afternoon, the devotees, such as Sharon Watson, already had begun to arrive. Watson, a 17-year-old from Willimantic, strutted across the tile floor of the Civic Center court, oblivious to the attention she was getting. She held a single grape-colored balloon in one hand and a long black cigarette holder in the other. "I'm not a fan," she said emphatically. "I am an admirer." She came, as many did, dressed to pay homage to the boldly sexual yet deeply religious performer who the night before won an Oscar for Best Original Song Score for his autobiographical movie, Purple Rain. Her eyes were surrounded by glistening lavender eyeshadow. Her black trench coat was studded with 30 buttons, all bearing a portrait of the doe-eyed prince. "They're originals," she said proudly. "It all started with the song Soft and Wet," she said. "That was 1978, wasn't it?" She asked her 12-year-old friend Evelyn Torres, also of Willimantic. Torres nodded her head affirmatively. "She's my cigarette lady," Watson said. And Torres opened a case of lavender gold-tipped cigarettes. So I don't know why.
What the hell?
Exactly. I'm hoping that they were, back in the day, you could buy bubblegum cigarettes. I don't know if you remember those.
Yep.
So I'm hoping that that's what it was, the bubblegum.
That was a different time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was.
Cigarettes is candy.
Yeah.
You got those bubble gums, weed.
and you know what else they made? They made bubble gum chewing tobacco.
Right.
Did they?
Wild.
Yeah, big chewing.
I used to have.
Yeah, because baseball players back then were known for chewing tobacco, which was the dumbest and nastiest thing ever. And since I was a baseball kid, I had to have me some big league chewing gum. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was a big thing back then.
Oh my goodness. All right. So our next article.
Hold on. Yes, Chris Bernay, they did. They had
Oh, yes.
Yes, the cigarette vending machines.
Yep, they sure did. Oh, so Kim, yep, the grape big league chew.
Yep, there we go.
And
the sad thing is I remember some of my homies who sort of graduated to actually really chewing.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, it ain't that serious.
Yeah, that's actually that's why the lawsuit, actually the big tobacco lawsuit where you see all the PSAs actually started around those candy chewing gums and those candy cigarettes. And I really don't reason I know this because Mike Moore, the former Attorney General of Mississippi, was one of the lead attorneys on that case that broke that case, and is the reason why now that rat reject all tobacco and all those PSAs. It came from that class action lawsuit, which again began with them saying you are targeting minors, right? You're getting minors to think about smoking at an early age, and that's how all this stuff got started.
Mm-hmm. And they just said, well, you know what? We'll just put it in the music.
Yep. And then we're going to invent vape machines.
Yeah. All right. So here's another article from the Hartford Courant. I love these note kind of like articles. So I'll read 3 of them. One is, just a few years ago, $10 could have bought you a ticket to a concert. These days, it can barely buy a souvenir program. A Prince booklet costs fans $10. Amid the 27 glossy pages are photos, Dove designs. I love reading Dove designs. A panorama of Minneapolis and bits of philosophy from the band. Sample, life is not an obstacle course, but a dance lesson, in quotes, says keyboardist Lisa Coleman. And Big Chick says, if you have nothing nice to say, just shut up. Security director for Prince. Then the second bullet is, Prince flew into Hartford Tuesday afternoon, just hours before his sellout concert at the Hartford Civic Center. The night before, he had won an Oscar for best. Let's think about this. So he was in LA, And then he had to fly to Hartford the next day, and be like on 2 different coasts. And he had been performing and in the studio, all sorts of crazy stuff. So it's just amazing, like the stamina that he had. So Prince brought the gold statuette on stage with him, waved it around, and placed it on a little altar on stage, right near the drum set, where it stayed for the rest of the 2-hour show. So that was for the Hartford show. At the Prince concert, canned food was collected for the Food Share Commission of Greater Hartford, according to Gloria McAdam of Food Share. 1,500 pounds of canned food was collected for the charity and dispensed to more than 50 area soup kitchens, emergency shelters, and food banks. And there's one more bullet about Sheila, but I'm not going to read it, but you can read it if you go to the slideshow on the website.
Put that in your protest pipe and smoke it.
Yes. All right. Next up is Prince concert dazzles Civic Center crowd by Jim Sabora. And I am going to read this one because this is one of the ones that is very descriptive, and I like these. It almost makes you feel like you're there. So if you will humor me, I'm going to read it. And here it goes. Spend 2 hours some night with Prince, and you'll know that not only would he die for you, he'll make you feel pretty special besides. That was the story amid all the glam and glitter of Tuesday night's Hartford Civic Center concert by Minneapolis wonder kid Prince, making his first area appearance in 2 years on the night after he won an Oscar for the original song scored to the film Purple Rain. Prince appeared with his touring band, The Revolution, along with opening act and Prince's girlfriend, Sheila E. So I find it interesting that they already are making Sheila his girlfriend in this. Through all the onstage smoke, the costume changes, the fancy choreography, the sexual innuendo bordering on the lewd, and the grandly produced music, there was a sensual, highly personal feeling to this Prince concert. When he asked the sellout crowd if they loved him, told them, of course, he loved them in return, and then announced, I'm going to move into somebody's house tonight, there were few in the crowd who didn't want to believe him. The concert began with the 25-year-old's musician's trademark drama-filled entry, and I think he's actually 26, not 25, standing silhouetted atop the speaker column saying, "Welcome, Connecticut. My name is Prince. I've come to play with you." It says play for you here. The music slowly welled to a crescendo, and Let's Go Crazy began the show that would last over 2 hours, reaching a soaring emotional peak several times during the evening. With his 6 backup musicians, Prince molded the concert into a sweeping, almost Wagnerian production of sight and sound of blazing dance steps in his best songs. From Let's Go Crazy, Prince launched it to Delirious, followed by 1999 and Little Red Corvette. It was a blistering beginning, and Prince used these crowd pleasers to get the audience on his side in a flash. He danced, sliding slickly across the floor, then appeared to one section of the crowd or another to ask, "Do you want to come home with me, or why don't you call me sometime?" Not known for his subtlety, Prince at one point in the show ascended the riser to tuck himself in a purple blanket and lay his head on a purple pillow. After some suggestive moves, he tossed his used bedclothes out to the crowd. The singer, who also showed some impressive guitar chops in his more rocking songs, slowed the pace of the concert a bit during Let's Pretend We're Married and a few other songs, then picked things up once more by inviting Sheila back on stage for a very suggestive dance and announcing, "I've got the strangest urge to get nasty in here tonight." He gave into the urge solo too, laying down and lewdly moving against floor. That's what they wrote. He was a tease, and the crowd could not have loved it more. In this way, and in many others, Prince was a grand showman. He exhorted the audience to new heights of cheering and excitement whenever they seemed to tire a bit, even holding aloft his newly won Oscar award, which was on stage throughout the show, and asking, "Did you all see this last night?" The crowd roared in the affirmative while Prince related how he and the band had gotten out of the award ceremony in a hurry, just in case the Academy wanted to take it back. Yet, despite all the sexiness and the certainly understandable pride, Prince showed a humble, serious side to himself during the quieter portions of the show. He hoped aloud that President Reagan finds a way to keep us all alive, free to love, free to kiss, free to, and later he dedicated a song to God, asking plaintively, am I qualified? He was obviously, as he picked up the show's energy towards the conclusion, performing a hot electronic sounding computer blues. That's what they wrote. The song that featured the lewdest motions and several other numbers, leading inevitably to a closing barrage of hits that hit renewed peaks with each successive song. The nearly seamless set closed triumphantly with When Doves Cry, perhaps one of Prince's prettiest songs, and took a brief break before the extended rhythmic encore of I Would Die For You and Baby I'm a Star. The Prince Show, exciting and dramatic, closed on a dramatic note once again with the song that has emerged as a musician's theme, the title song to his movie Purple Rain. In all, it had been a show of an engaging soul and blazing rock, of exotic stage effects and just plain showmanship. And it was confirmation that Prince is one of the most creative and compelling performers in popular music today.
That's cool.
Right. So this is like one of the most positive reviews we have ever read on What Did Prince Do This Week. And I wanted to read one that was positive for a change.
Also, Brother Bernay, I'm guessing he's counting Eric Leeds as that sixth person.
Mm-hmm.
He said 6 people, so I'm guessing he's counting Eric Leeds. That would be that other person.
Yeah. Oh, you know what's really interesting, Modern Era, because you wrote Ronnie Talk to Russia. So last week I had my students listen to Controversy, and can you imagine the 2 students, the song that stood out for them, 2 students, was Ronnie Talk to Russia, which I thought was really interesting. And then my favorite one, though, was one of the students said that they love Do Me Baby, but they were like, I can't, he was like, I can't tell you why. It's just like, and so I thought that was like the 2 songs that I thought that they may not have been interested in, that they were. So
the student who with the Do Me Baby, and I'm also thinking maybe demographic as well, it would probably be also, that's probably the first soul that person has probably ever heard, given the age, right? Like, and when we say soul, we mean soul that is, that's straight from gospel. That's straight from an old singer coming from. So that's interesting about like having a young person kind of gravitate to that. I wonder, and if you had time to ask him how much soul has that person had, and what would they define as soul music would be another question I'd be interested in hearing them talk about.
Yeah, that's a really good question. All right, so here's another article that I'm not going to read, but one I just love this photo. I don't know why, but I do. And the main reason why I wanted to show this article, a great photo, but at the end of this, they literally have the song list in this review. And I think that's pretty amazing because I've never seen that before, to actually have the song listing in the review. So I just wanted to show that. And I think this photo is great. So here's a ticket from the Hartford show. I'm just going back to like this red ticket. And here are some photos from the Hartford, Connecticut show.
Oh, wow. Switched it up. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like some new, that's like that reminds me of some Controversy.
Yep.
Print. I mean, with the purple. I love this look, right?
So, I call it Wally's coat or it's Christopher Tracy's coat.
Interesting.
Yeah, that he's wearing. Like he wore in America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Prince was really smart, both sonically, lyrically, and fashion, about recalling his old eras, right? It was always like giving you seeds and anchors to keep you kind of connected as he moved forward. So yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool.
And what's really important to know about this is he's literally playing America, like, because this is during the encore. And so he's already in Around the Rolling a Day mode, with, the America jacket and all that, that he will wear in the video. So.
And as a segue, you guys should really show up for the upcoming symposium, because hint, 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 Brother Turnbull is going to have a really interesting presentation about that total timelines and around the world in a day. Like, it's going to be a lot of great presentations, as always, for that. But particularly what we're discussing here at What Did Prince Do this week in this era, Brother Turnbull is going to have a really interesting presentation, kind of connecting Purple Rain and Around the World in a Day and what's all happening stylistically there. That's it.
Yeah, and one more thing I forgot to say about these photos is you can't tell, but he actually has on pajamas underneath this. So not only is he in Around the World in the day mode, he's also in the family mode. So he was already in a different timeline.
Yep.
With this encore. All right, next up is and this is just like I call it the conga line. With
conga line, get in line, baby.
Yes, Holly and Brooks and stuff. All right, so here's a ticket to the Worcester, Massachusetts show on Wednesday, March 27th. Here are some photos from that show, if the dates are correct. I don't know the photographer, but I love this. And here's another. And I don't know quite what he has on. Like, if you look underneath the shirt, it almost looks like he's in like Sexy MF or
yeah. I was gonna say, is he about to do My Name Is Prince?
Yeah.
It looked like a wild typhoon in a weird way.
Yeah. So this is a very interesting photo.
Tony about to jump out in a minute.
Yes. All right. So can someone read? Actually, we're going to skip reading because I have some articles about this. So this is Prince did do a special set in the Marriott Inn. So this is Worcester, Massachusetts. Guests at the Marriott Inn got a big surprise when rock star Prince dropped in unannounced at the hotel lounge after his sold-out concert at the Worcester Centrum. The Prince of Purple returned to the hotel with his band, The Revolution, after his Wednesday night concert, then said hotel manager Carl Rodriguez, the most colorful act in show business, surprised late-night loungers by giving a 60-minute set of Oscar-winning Purple Passion at no extra charge.
Wow.
Everybody was very pleased, said Rodriguez. It was a real surprise. Prince, who also performed Thursday night at the sold-out Centrum, took requests from the impromptu audience. Can you imagine being able to take
That's crazy.
Who had listened earlier in the evening? So let me read this right. Prince, who also performed Thursday night at the sold-out Centrum, took requests from the impromptu audience who had listened earlier in the evening to a band called Crazy Joe and the Rage. Prince played the last set instead of Crazy Joe. Prince and his entourage rented more than 100 rooms and 2+ floors of the hotel for their stay. So can you imagine that you came to come see Crazy Joe and the Rage at this Marriott Inn, and then you end up with Prince in the inn? So
my question is, who stepped to Crazy Joe? Hey, let me get that last set, player. Yeah. Let me take that last set off your hands. Just
I wonder what style of music was Crazy Joe.
Right. Crazy Joe and the Rage.
Country thing or something. We got the Prince and the Revolution. What?
Oh my God.
And I know this has nothing to do with anything, but so you tell me the Marriott could make it from the 80s, but the Holiday Inn couldn't. That's what y'all telling me. That the Marriott, right? And even the Ramada, but the Holiday Inn couldn't make it.
Yeah, that's what happened. Yep. So a very, very cool after show. It would be great to hear from somebody who saw that. That would be someone to listen to. All right. And Raven is telling us that they're showing Purple Rain on BET right now. That's amazing.
BET or BET Plus? Because I need to know if it's cut or not. Is BET or BET Plus? If it ain't on BET Plus, don't watch it.
All right. Can I have one of you read Thursday Marriott Tour? No, we're not going to read that. Okay. And then we're going to go to still on Thursday. Yes, we're going to go Thursday. Can you read actually Thursday, March 28th, 1985. The Centrum, not Marriott Inn.
Sure. The Centrum, Worcester, Massachusetts, capacity 12,073, sold out. As Prince prepared for a worldwide live broadcast of his concert coming up in 2 days, he had a few extra songs into the set, including When You Were Mine, Head, Still Waiting, I Want to Be Your Lover, B.B. King's I Got Some Help I Don't Need, which has often been referred to as Blues in G, and I Feel For You, which had won a Grammy the previous month. He also included For the Tears in Your Eyes once again. Damn it, why we didn't get this show?
So this is in the, if I remember correctly, this is in the accompanying playlist. And if,
I mean for the release, the official release.
I know, but the reason why I'm pointing this out is that these additions, especially like When You're in Mine, Head Still Waiting, all that, Want to Be Your Lover, is during the piano portion, and it's amazing. It's like one of my favorite Purple Rain piano medley, because it's really awesome. So if you haven't listened to that, I would suggest that you do. And Kim is saying that there's still Holiday Inns in Europe.
Oh, cool. All right. Because
Yeah.
the one in Jackson is surrounded by jungle. So it's just so you know.
Okay.
Trees growing up through the rooms.
Damn.
Yes. All right, and let's keep it moving. So this is the ticket for the March 28th show. And I wanted to show this ticket because it looks like a Greyhound ticket. It just
Sure does.
Very-
Sure does.
Yeah, it's different from all the other tickets we've seen. And actually, there are more those red tickets from this date. So I don't know like what venue had, what place sold these particular tickets, because the red ticket that we saw earlier were the majority of the tickets that I found. All right, I'm not going to read this either, but I just think it's interesting that the accompanying photo is of these really young kids. Like, why would they want to profile really young kids at this Prince show? I don't know. But it says young fans wearing Prince t-shirts react to their charismatic idol's wild and woolly performance. So, yep. And you can see they have on like a Prince t-shirt, and I can't really make out the one on the left. Here's some more fans from the Worcester, Massachusetts show. I love this.
What is that guy? He doesn't look like him, but the style, is it like the Goonies or something? It's just something. It's the
Yeah,
80s
yeah, it's very 80s. I'll take the Goonies.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Very 80s and very Boston.
Okay.
Yes. I love the bubble gum. I don't know if they've already seen some photos or footage from the Second Coming. I don't know. Or maybe.
Hilarious.
And here's another fan photo. I love the fan photos.
That's cool.
Yeah. And
Two sisters right up front right there. Look at them jump right up front.
yep.
I see why Chipper Gore and them was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right. Here are some photos, I think, from the March 28th, if we got our dates right, from the Sheila set, from Joseph Sia, is a photographer. And here a couple more from Sheila.
You know, Sheila, I mean, she gets her flowers.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I don't think a lot of the people, I don't want to say younger people, but I think there's probably a lot of people who know of Sheila but don't know this Sheila E.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they don't know, like, whoa, she was doing that? You know what I'm saying? Because you don't really get to see this outside of Prince circles. I never see this Sheila E. reference, but, you know, looking at her, you know, when she originally came out, you can sort of trace. I mean, there was a lineage before her, but you can certainly see what she's doing here, and you see that today as well. It's just a different level, but in context, it's the same thing. Interesting.
You know, it's funny you say that. I think Sheila has done a great job she's done a great job promoting her musicianship over her sex symbol status.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That was a time when she was equally known as a musician and a sex symbol. And she, conscious, unconscious, whatever. So I think, like you're saying, I think part of that is she did a really good job making herself or making people know that I'm a musician and not just a sex kitten. And I think that's to that point to why she's been able. That's why I think they may not know that other Sheila.
Which is interesting because you're coming out of that camp, being a lady.
Yep.
You know, there'd be a stigma to be like, oh, you're just another Vanity Apollonia or something. But no, I'm the real deal musician.
Yeah,
but still had to wear that for a second, but then shift it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. But you know what? That's a good question because I think you're right on it because I've always saw that what was really unique about Prince and unique about Prince's fans is that they were able to kind of have two thoughts. It was like Prince's fans had two compartments for women. They had the vixen women in one compartment and they had the musicians in the other. And the Prince fans were always really clear about not mixing it. Because, you know, from the beginning, you had Gail and you had Lisa. From the very, very beginning. Even though he was doing sexual stuff with Gail, she still kind of became a musician. And then with Wendy did, you know, the scene, but she was still a musician. So I think Prince was really smart about it. But I have to give credit to the fans. I guess I'm one of the fans, of course, that we were also pretty smart about the notion that, yes, Prince has these vixens, but he's also done a lot for uplifting women in music in a way so that you could ride that other train if you wanted.
Yes, and Jill.
Yeah, Chris Burnett. Yes, and I can tell you, Chris Burnett, as a 12-year-old, when I saw the long version of the AUT-O-Matic video, you talk about a 12-year-old transfixed in puberty. Boy, I'm gonna tell you, that AUT-O-Matic video was because, and I'll say this, and this is gonna sound like two different things. I'm glad you put that in the chat, Chris Burnett, because I'm just saying, the beginning of the AUT-O-Matic video, when Prince touches the damn tip of his hat like that, I'm like, oh, some funky shit about to go down. That's like the funkiest shit up. Like, I ain't gonna even lie. Like that moment of like, it ain't. I can't explain. To me, you know, that's better to me than when Mike do the hat. When Mike do the hat, you know, oh shit, it's about to go down. Damn, Mike in that hat. When Prince touched the bib of that pilot's cat, my 12-year-old said, like, it's about to be funkier than it's ever been before. And to this day, I'm not gonna. Every time I see the AUT-O-Matic video, I get that same feeling. I see the brother touch that. Man, AUT-O-Matic is still the shit for me. It's always been the shit. It's the funkiest thing ever. And just go watch Prince tip that hat. Right there, he letting you know, if you ain't ready, you better get ready. and the only thing, because I'll tell you, that was funkier for me than when at the beginning of the Little Red Corvette, when he give you the heel at the beginning, oh, you know it's about to go down. When Prince stick that heel out there at the beginning of the Little Red Corvette, you know it's about to go. And I would say the tip of the hat is even cooler than the heel at Little Red Corvette.
That's the best thing ever.
I love it.
That's the best thing ever because AUT-O-Matic, that video doesn't get talked about enough. It's like my favorite video from the 1999, you know, even though I do like Little Red Corvette for the red, just for the red, for the red alone. But yeah, for sure.
Once again, the I Shut Up t-shirt you need to get on. Not shut up.
All right. Okay, here's some photos. Just I don't know what shows these are from, but they're from the Worcester, like what night specifically. But you know, I like, you know, Prince and Smoke, so we gotta look at this one. And oh my God, I thought I was on this. And then here's another one. And I don't think Ricky's still with us, but I actually had this for Ricky because you can at least see brown mark, sort of kind of in the smoke. And here's another one. Love this outfit. It's like black and red. And another shot. These photos are by Joseph Sia. This is a classic Prince pose. Like anybody knows this silhouette if you're a Prince fan. And again, you get to see a little Dr. Fink and brown mark. And some Wendy. Love this shot with the lights in the top. And some more Wendy. Love whenever Prince raises his hands. And the Mad Cat. And then he has like this scarf. I don't remember this one. Looks like it's like a sequin scarf of some sort. And I love it when he starts kicking his head back. Like what's so funny about looking at some of these photos, like they become movement in my mind. Like I can see, even though they're static, like I can see him doing.
You know what song he's doing.
Yeah, you know what song, you know, like what he's doing at this moment is pretty insane in that way. And I think I showed this one, but it might be different. And we're ending on this one. Always gotta end on an iconic movement. And all right, so here's some fans, Joe Fetterman and Mike Dimma from the Worcester show. And the reason why I wanted to show this is because it's in this article. So you get to see the picture a little bit better. It's like, I love the especially Mike on the right. Like he's, I don't know, it looks like a part of Duran or Flock.
I was gonna say he done pulled out that Duran mode in that revolution.
Yeah, yeah. So I really love these, and let me see if I can.
Her name was Rio, and she. All right, let's move on.
Yes. So I want to read a little bit of this because it's about the fans. You know, I like the fan articles. Paying homage to Prince by Mark Murrow, Globe staff, Worcester. They came in 2s and 5s, in purple tights, and purple boots, and purple lingerie. They came from inner city and outskirt, from ranch house, suburb, and hard town, from Melrose, Leominster, Roxbury, and Eastie. If I'm saying that right. Others came like elopers. I don't know what elopers are. Like communicants pressed together. They seemed spectators at something they didn't quite understand, but definitely dug. He's like everything, giggled 16-year-old Kathy Pasquariella of Medford. He's from nowhere, approved Jim Carney, 15 of Jamaica Plain. I think that's a really interesting quote from a 15-year-old. He's from nowhere, meaning like probably from everywhere. He's from nowhere and everywhere at the same time, but he just said he's from nowhere. Concluded Cheryl Wall, who works at University Hospital in Boston. Everybody loves him. Nobody knows him. I'm sorry. That is so funny to me. Everybody loves him. Nobody knows him. That's what she said. And there is a cryptic aphorism. You had it. The subject, of course, was Prince, the moody, lubricious star. Man, they brought out the synonyms. Star of Purple Rain. And if the adulation sounded contradictory, it only serves to suggest a unique brand of devotion to which the kid's latest doe-eyed ambassador of sex and self inspires his following. For Prince, who swept in and out of 2 Worcester Centrum shows this week, is the latest version of that late 20th century invention, the mega celeb. I didn't realize that they would have this like framing of a mega celeb in the 80s. I thought that came later, but this is interesting to read. As such, he represents to his young fans not only ultimate meaning and thrills, he's the Liberace of rock and roll, but state-of-the-art inscrutability, a video age god of conspicuous consumption. He shows off purple tuxedos, softcore porn, teen angst, religion, suggestions of several sexes, almost every style of music yet invented, love that, and little red Corvettes. An invisible man of the celebrity system, he lives in a shadow world, some nowhere, as Jim Carney said, blessedly devoid of ranch-style homes, boring glimpses, anything beyond cryptic appearances at the Academy Awards. And for this, Prince is a savior for the generation raised not just on shopping malls and TV guides, but MTV. I don't know if many people remember TV guides, but TV guides were hot.
Oh yeah, look,
Oh, yeah.
you couldn't find nothing on TV without a TV guide, and you ain't have but 4 damn channels. Now we got 212 channels. Ain't nobody got no TV guide. That just seemed like a damn backwards waste to me.
You know what TV guides were for me? I would always wait for, was it in this, whenever the new seasons would start.
Yep.
Mhm.
But for me, I would make sure that I got the one that showed the new Saturday morning cartoon lineup. They would always have these ads, and so I would always, oh, that's what's gonna come on. Yeah, I would love TV.
That was always August. That was
It was in August. Okay.
Yep, August.
And my grandmother, she had a subscription, but she would keep them all. So
Yep.
it came out every week. So she just have a stack, and I would just always go over there and look through them. Oh yeah. Another time.
Yeah, and like Tom just said, it did have some really good articles.
It did.
I remember reading TV Guide, which is kind of
Mhm.
great to think about. Ricky, did you miss your brown mark photos? I had little glimpses of brown mark. I don't think you were here because you would have said something in the chat, but we gonna have to go back and watch it. Okay, and then let me get finished real quick. There were plenty of teen swoons. He's got a great ASS, blessed out platitudes. We think he's awesome. Advertising slogans. He puts on a great show, but the kids beamed, nudged each other, and cheered their idol because he confuses them wonderfully. I love his music and all his styles, but the thing I really like about him is you don't know who he is, said Ed Carey, a Roxbury Latin student. This is the second person who said that we don't know who he is. He's awesome.
That's that part about nowhere. I think that Prince was, for them, Prince had successfully cultivated not necessarily an everyman persona, but the fact that he had amalgamated so many different things that he was his own being. He was his own, and you couldn't fathom him being from anywhere that you thought was a real place. That's it. I'll shut up.
Yeah. And let's see. He's awesome. He's mysterious. He's bad. Exclaimed Connie Monteleone breathlessly. I like everything about Prince. His body, the East Boston High girl enumerated. His flows, the way he sings, it's crazy. I gotta find the second page. Where is it? Hold on.
She was tapping in or something. She was like, I love his body.
So,
Things awakening in her. She had never experienced.
here's I'm just going to read a little bit more of this. This is the second page. You can see Christine Allen of Mattapan zeroes in with her binoculars and her lace gloves. I love that photo. I wish I had the real one of that. Okay, it's like totally different. This is the end of that quote. Of course, Prince isn't totally different and isn't the first to ascend to such divine elusiveness. Then they go on to talk about Elvis, Michael Jackson, and Frank Sinatra. We'll skip all that. And then we'll go to the kids waiting for the sold out Centrum shows this week, at least Prince seems something new. His wild mutation of rock, soul, funk, and psychedelia to begin with sounds wild and weird and different to John Moulton, 15 of Lincoln, while Chrissy MacArthur, 17 of Medford, said Prince's charisma wraps us all around his finger. Blush 14-year-old Diane of Cambridge. He's just totally sexy. No one's been totally sexy before. But Prince suggested more to these kids. He seemed, for one thing, to go farther than anyone had in playing out their deepest fantasy, that of absolute personal freedom, total anarchy, total sex. Jim Sweeney, 17 of Malden, he does whatever he wants. He says what he wants to say and doesn't care what anyone else thinks, said Kelly Donahue, a receptionist at the Great Cuts Hair Salon in Worcester. He's crazy. He's cool, proclaimed John Sands as he surveyed the crowd looking for a ticket to buy. He crawls around the stage, crawls out of bathtubs, gets away with anything, Sands went on admiringly. He can get anything he wants. And then I won't go on and on, but it's actually a lot more. This is a great article to read about just how people thought of Prince, like the fans in particular.
And that's a big newspaper.
Yeah. The Boston Globe is that, yeah. So, all right. And I do want to read this one because it's important to know. And I find I find this weird. I don't know if anybody knows anything about this. I mean, obviously we know that the Kansas City shows were canceled, and this is from the Kansas City Star, Friday, March 29th. Prince refunds only by mail. Refunds for the canceled April 17 and 18 Kemper Arena concerts of Prince and the Revolution with Sheila E. will be made only through the mail. Ticket holders can send their tickets to Prince Refund to a P.O. box and then blah, blah, blah. A self-addressed stamped envelope is not necessary. Simply provide a name and address for the money to be sent to. Officials expect a 3-week wait on refunds. Tickets, which cost $15.50 and $17.50, were sold out for both concerts. The rock star on tour for his spectacularly popular album Purple Rain originally scheduled 2 concerts in Kansas City, March 20th and 21st. In February, those were postponed until the April dates. I would have been pissed. So they already had a postponement and then it got canceled. Can you imagine? I would have been a little salty.
I remember this was later and way later, but I think it was a Prince concert in Cali. Like they canceled it the day or the day before or something. And I was about to go to that too. I don't know if anyone remembers this. It was like the very same. It was earlier that day that it ended up. I think he had hurt his leg or ankle.
And was it the one in Europe that had a bunch of controversy around that they canceled it or something? And Prince's camp was blaming the promoter, and the promoter was blaming Prince's camp, and there was like a really big to do about whose fault it was that it got canceled.
I remember something about that. Yeah.
And I just like to add about that 3 weeks wait for your refund. In 1985, that was quick.
That was fast. Yeah, through the mail.
Because if you did mail order, 6 to 8 weeks. So now that the damn Amazon girl is showing up at my house every morning at 6 a.m., I told her ass, you gonna get capped, because she scared the hell out of me one day at 6, dropping off a package at 6 in the damn morning. But yeah, 3 weeks was pretty fast for then.
Yeah, it sounds wild today because you could just on your phone,
right?
Yeah, back then you had it.
All right, I'm almost done. Let's see. Prince's doctors advised him to end his tour immediately, according to a spokesman for Shown Productions in Minneapolis, promoter of the shows in Kansas City. However, the tour would not end until after a concert April 7th at the Orange Bowl in Miami. 3 other cities, including Kansas City, remained on the tour. The promoter and Kemper Arena officials attempted to reschedule the concerts in late March or early April, but were unable to work around the arena's calendar of events and Prince's existing commitments, according to officials for both organizations. So what I'm questioning is, was this really true about Prince's doctors advising him to end his tour immediately? Or was Prince just ready to move on to around the roll of the day? That's what I want to know.
You know what it sounded like to me? That Miami date was the last date, and Prince said, y'all better find a goddamn date before this one. Because remember, they said they was trying to move around with the Kansas City thing, and Prince was like, hey, on whatever date that is, this is it. So if you can't get a venue by then. So.
All right, and how are we doing on time? Okay, this is a pretty important show. So, I mean, the Syracuse show. So please bear with me. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but some of this I think is important. It's in the Syracuse Herald Journal, and it says, the Syracuse show would be the biggest date in a nearly 5-month run that has been interrupted by American music, Grammy, and on Monday Academy Awards for the 26-year-old powerhouse rhythm and blues rocker from Minnesota. The tour ends in Florida in early April. Prince will be making rock and roll his own and dome history with the 8-camera live concert telecast to be bounced off a satellite and into the living rooms of an estimated 12 to 15 million Europeans tuned into the popular West German program Rock Palace. It is the first time a rock concert in the U.S. has been simulcast in Europe, said Brian Hassett, a spokesman for John Shear Productions, the concert promoter. I'm going to repeat that. It's the first time a rock concert in the U.S. has been simulcast in Europe, and another 30,000 or so seeing Prince and his Fast and Furious band, The Revolution, guitarist Wendy Melvoin, keyboardist Lisa Coleman, and Matt Fink, bassist Mark Brown, or Brown Mark as Prince calls him, and drummer Bobby Z in person. It will make for plenty of performance incentive. Not that Prince has been a lightweight in other cities where he was playing before only 19,000 or so fans. This has been his biggest tour in his short career, spurred by the enormous success of the multi-award-winning Purple Rain, the biggest selling album of 1984, and the movie of the same name, which was last year's sleeper and currently a favorite on the video cassette rental purchase circuit. Prince is generally taking the stage for concerts of 2 hours or more, ticking off an average of 15 numbers, including most of the Purple Rain material. It's likely there will be much more packed into the Syracuse performance. Prince has added material from his soon-to-be-released 7th album, Around the Rolling the Day. A spokeswoman at Warner Brothers Records said the album was scheduled to be released just prior to the Dome concert, but now has a mid-April release date after the tour. The album's Purple Rain equivalent epic cut is an inspired Temptation, a 10-minute showpiece Prince performed in 6 concerts in New York last week. But for perhaps the biggest rock show currently touring the U.S., ticket sales have been slow. Prince failed to sell out any of the New York City dates, sending would-be scalpers to the cleaners. We talked about that last week. And by midweek, Syracuse ticket sales had just breached the 30,000 mark of the 41,000 put on sale March 2nd. Daily ticket sales have dropped off considerably this week, said Debbie Payne of NAC Incorporated, one of the relations firms. Give me one second. For promoters share. We're concerned about that. The question of ticket sales is a perennial thing. Are we disappointed? No, we're not disappointed. When you get 30,000 or 35,000 fans for one event, that's nothing to be disappointed about. The only problem, said Scowls, is the measuring stick. Bruce Springsteen, who in December broke Dome records for the speed of ticket sales for his 2 January performances. For Prince's first time in Syracuse, I think the sales are outstanding, said Scowls. You've got to remember, this is the first tour he's headlined after crossing over musically. That's in parentheses. He's a fairly sophisticated urban and cosmopolitan performer. I pause on that. He's a fairly sophisticated urban and cosmopolitan performer.
Sound like homeboy trying to cover all his bases.
Yes, he will have to build an audience like the Police and Genesis did. The comparisons to Springsteen are at the same time frustrating and complimentary to the persona that is Prince. He hasn't matched the thunder of the Boss's ticket sales, but Prince's show, like Springsteen's, is destined to be technically superior to other Dome shows. I've never dealt with anyone more meticulous than Prince except for the guy here before him, said Skiles. Meticulous is the word for it. Audio is one of the biggest sticklers for Prince, who performs his own sound checks hours before each show. The complex quadraphonic sound system has been critically acclaimed in other cities where Prince has performed. Much has been made, too, of the intricate staging. In some ways, the aesthetics of this trip go back to the other performers with elaborate staging, like the Rolling Stones in the early 70s, said Scowls. Hydraulic lifts on the stage raise a purple bathtub, among other things, for Prince to ask the audience, blah, blah, blah. That's part of the high-tech Verilight computer system. Add that to smoke machines and canisters above and in front of the stage, which show the audience with flower tops and confetti, and you have an array of technical aspects in the production, which is described to arena directors by Prince personnel as part rock show, part circus, and part ice show. The 12 tractor trailers hauling the sophisticated equipment to the Dome will be unloaded early Friday. Although Dome preparations for the lavish production began in earnest Wednesday at 6 a.m., work on the European simulcast will begin when darkness falls Friday, said Skiles. Testing of the video link with the satellite, remember this was done by satellite, which is crazy, will be done, and AT&T, which is handling the audio aspect of the simulcast, will test the signal to see if it's acceptable over there in Europe and to Mr. Prince, said Skiles. It will be interesting to see how this turns out, said Skiles. The Dome has simulcast athletic events nationally, but this is the first time rock has risen to the same stature, and this is internationally. Skiles said the possibility of a simulcast was discussed with The Who when that British group played the Dome in 1982, but the group ended up simulcasting from Toronto, but only in North America. Concert girls will get video exposure in the Dome. Nocturne Productions will have cameras trained on Prince with the signal relayed to a giant video screen. Special effects, stop action, as well as real time will be part of the show. Another first for the Dome is the arena setup. The stage, positioned near the west wall, is 25 feet further back than it ever has been, said Skiles, to allow the first ever in the Round Dome concert. The first ever in the Round Dome concert. Fans with tickets behind the stage shouldn't feel slighted, said Skiles. They'll have an extraordinary experience, he said. Prince will really invest energy into making sure they're part of the show, and sound will be deployed in that direction. It might be a little rough on opening act Sheila Escovedo, who goes by the stage name Sheila E. Her timbales, a fine-tuned drum, which she played for a good part of her act, are generally set up in one direction. That's an interesting point. But there will be more to watch on Sheila E.'s act. Other than Sheila, keep an eye on a 5'2" guitarist. It's Prince. Now, really quickly, there's another article, and I won't read it, but it says tickets are still available. Fans will be pat searched. So, yeah.
And I'm wondering if it's a wording, how they're wording it. Because from what I understand, the very first simulcast, internationally simulcast concert was the Elvis Aloha from Hawaii. And so now I know that was done in 2 seconds. So the Syracuse show, from what I understand, because I watched it on MTV, was live and in real time, right? Like when we watched it on MTV, was it happening or was that a recording of it?
That's what I wanted to ask you about. I never knew this was broadcasted. My question is, this was broadcasted on TV?
Yeah, it was on MTV.
Oh, was it? I didn't have.
Yeah, I remember because I almost forgot about it, believe it or not. And I remember come running. So I didn't watch it at home. I watched it at I didn't want to take the chance to run all the way down the street to my house. So I stopped at the first street on my house and kicked and busted the door. And I went, are y'all? And it was my best friend. He had 9 brothers and sisters. And I went, are y'all? And they said, yes, it's on now. Like it was just coming on. So like when I ran into the room, I ran into the room of hearing "Hello Syracuse" and the world. So and I never knew whether or not that night when we saw it on MTV, was that happening the same time in Syracuse, or was it a delay? But that also gets me back to the Elvis 1977 Aloha. It was simulcast to, I can't forget how many nations, but there were actually 2 simulcasts. One was the live one, and then the second one was the recording of the live one, which was actually simulcast to more actual countries. Okay. And that's why I'm wondering if they're playing with the wording, because from what I understood, the Elvis 1977 Aloha from Hawaii was the first concert simulcast internationally. That's it. I'll shut up.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I always wondered. I only first saw it when the VHS tape came out. That was like the first time I heard of it, but I never even thought about that. I knew it was simulcast. I really had no idea they played this for free on TV. I guess. Yeah, that's dope. Wow.
And the other thing was because that was the first time I got pissed off at the damn split screen when Doves Cry, because I was like, is this live? Because I was like, well, if it's live, why is it a split screen? But then again, it could have been live and they just chose to go with that. But I remember thinking that in real time, being mad that they had that, and I was like, well, I wonder if this is recorded.
I think this is an interesting comment from Carol, especially in light of the ending the tour supposedly because the doctors told them to. Prince should have been tired, exhausted physically, but his mental state of boredom and his awareness at the mountaintop was so deadening, not affirming, was undoubtedly the major issue. I think that's a really interesting comment. Thanks for that, Carol. And Big Sexy is in the house, says there was a live worldwide broadcast of the Beatles doing All You Need Is Love in 1968.
Hey, Big Sexy, was that, I remember that, was that the video or was that the live performance? Because you know what? Yeah, because that was International Love Day. International Peace Day. He's right. It was International Peace Day, and countries were broadcasting live performances all around the world. And yes, the Beatles, All You Need Is Love, was for the International Peace Day. You're right, Big Sexy. And Big Sexy, let me know, there was also something else special about that Beatles performance, because either they wrote the song either right before the performance or a few days before the performance, or they kind of changed it or something. Do you remember that, Big Sexy? Because that was the live performance of it, and then there was also something special about the performance of that song. So you're right, Big Sexy. So if you go back 1968, you got the Beatles performance on International Live Day. So the Beatles would have been the first, just a song. Okay. And then the Elvis Aloha from Hawaii was an entire concert. Thank you, Big Sexy, for reminding us of that.
That's why I love doing this. I learned so much from everybody. All right, so we're not going to read this because we just read a lot about Syracuse show. This is the ticket. I love the Ticketron ticket, so we got to look at the Ticketron ticket. And then this is a poster for the Syracuse food drive, food bank of Central New York. And you can see underneath the picture, it says Prince of Revolution and Sheila E., Syracuse, New York, with the date. And here I only have one picture from Syracuse. And you can see Bobby Z in the back. And that's all she wrote. And I'll leave this for next time. This is basically an article from the Los Angeles Times from Robert Hilburn, which is one of the most well-known music critics of the time, talking about Around the World. And I'm not actually Around the World Day, but the For the Tears in Your Eyes showing up on the We Are the World soundtrack. So I'll let you read that on your own. We don't have to read that. All right, and I'm not going to read this either, but Purple Rain pours 12.5 tons of edibles and food banks. Which
that reads different today.
I was going to say, that's a whole different meaning now.
Thank you.
Where the hell are they dropping that truck off at? Where that truck going?
I didn't know Prince was into all that. They was doing edibles back then?
Oh, my God. We're talking about canned foods for everybody who's listening. Yeah.
So you say.
And Big Sexy said they wrote it for that performance.
Cool. Appreciate it, Big Sexy.
Yes. All right. And okay, so we're going to skip through all this because we ain't got time. And really quickly, if you're in New York, I won't be able to see this. There's an April 2nd free screening at the College of New York in Harlem. If you want to see the We Want the Funk documentary with Stanley Nelson with a Q&A afterwards. And for everybody else, it is going to again be making its national debut on PBS on April 8th. So
cool. On Independent Lens. Excellent.
Yes, on PBS. And then Bilal's on tour. I also just want to give a shout out because I'm not on social media. So this is the second time that Chris Robb will be with Slum Village at the Blue Note this year, because he was there also last year. So if you want to come out and support Chris Robb, who's also an amazing musician with Slum Village, you should. At the Blue Note, New York, April 24th to 25th.
I will say Chris Robb gave the greatest COVID concert I've ever saw in the 3 years of COVID. It was the greatest COVID, that Dirty Mind tribute that Chris Robb gave during COVID. Greatest damn COVID concert. That's it.
Yes, it was pretty darn amazing. It really was, for the DM40 GB30 Symposium. All right.
Is that when Jill and them came up? Is that what you're talking
about? No, that was later.
No. That's so for the DM40 GB30. That's the one when Jill and Jerome watched Graffiti Bridge. Remember, in real time, and they were doing a live commentary because it was during COVID.
Right.
And then Chris Robb did we live streamed this concert, which was really incredible for him to do because we still didn't know what was going on with COVID, and for them to actually do that performance, actually really amazing. It really, really was.
And I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of being a hater. Like, see no damn concert through no damn YouTube. What the hell kind of show? And 4 notes in, hey,
you doing your Billy?
Yeah. Can I get more of this?
It was really, really, really good. If I think he might have it on his YouTube channel, so I will put it in the accompanying playlist for people to see. And there is an upcoming tribute to Alice Coltrane at Carnegie Hall in May. So if you're in the New York City area, or even if you're not, you want to come up for this, because Flying Lotus is going to be there, as well as Robbie Coltrane and others, and Michelle Coltrane. Omar, we talked about, is going back on tour in the States at City Wineries. And I think we talked about this last time. I can't remember. It's a blur. But St. Paul and Minneapolis Funk All-Stars will be performing at the Herb Alberts Vibrato in Los Angeles on April 2nd. And this is, you're hearing it first here, because I haven't announced this anywhere. So the keynote speakers for the Pop Life 40 Virtual Symposium will be the original family, also known as F Deluxe. I am so thrilled, so excited that St. Paul, Susanna, Eric Leeds, and Jelly Bean Johnson will be joining us on Friday, April 11th at noon, Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern, or whatever it is, Eastern Time in New York on YouTube. So just to give you a heads up, because I know it's going to cause a lot of confusion, the only part of the symposium that's happening on YouTube is this live keynote, and the rest of it is going to be on Zoom events. So this is going to be the only YouTube event. So
Nice,
I hope that you are excited, because I am.
Yeah.
I am, because I've never had an opportunity. I've been trying to talk to St. Paul since the Grown Folks Music podcast. We just never worked it out. Like, wanted to, but didn't work out. So I'm finally, like so many years later, and then obviously, you know, I love me some Eric Leeds. And then we also get to talk to Susanna and Jelly Bean. So that's what I'm talking about. And for those of you who don't know, we will be celebrating on April 11th through 13th, Around the Room in the Day, The Family, and Sheila E's Romance 1600. And you can do the bit.ly link there if you want to pre-register. And you can also see the other speakers that C. Lee has already talked about, because Arthur's going to get an hour for his presentation. So literally this time. And then we can't forget about Dr. Funkenberry. Please send him love and all of that. And this is the accompanying playlist. And I think, so you can see that there's a sound check from the Syracuse show in the playlist from D68A. Then I found that Worcester show from CL2. So you can see that. And then you can also see Prince at the Oscars or the Academy Awards. And you can listen to the Mazarati version of Jerk Out, the Jerk Out chocolate sound check that I told you about. If you haven't seen the Jerk Out video, you can watch it. And then obviously the original Jerk Out, which is really, really, really amazing. So
on a final note, has anybody had it sent to me, and I mean, seen, I think it's a GoFundMe or something for Dez, or yeah, I thought I saw that Dez wasn't doing well, and that was a GoFundMe or something. I'm gonna try to find it, and I'm not gonna hold this.
Yeah, send it to me and I'll add it to the
okay.
the slide deck later.
Okay.
All right. So Michael Dean, take us out.
Well, it's another great show, another great weekend. Thank you, Celie. Thank you, D'Angela. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Yeah. But with that said, have a great rest of your week. We're starting April next week as well, so I can't wait to finish up the Purple Rain tour so we can get into the studio. And some of these tracks are just some of my all-time favorites, so I'm very excited. Salute to Duane for supplying us with this great book. Salute to Ricky, Ted for tapping in as well. Work it like a job. We'll see you next time.